Life under the Nazi shadow, the terror of the midnight night, the illusion of order. What if the most dangerous place was your own home at night? From the outside, Nazi Germany looked powerful. Broad avenues stretched across its cities, parades marched in perfect rhythm, crowds gathered under banners, cheering with confidence and pride. Under the rule of Adolf Hitler, the nation projected an image of strength, discipline, and unity. Factories worked day and night. Order seemed restored. The chaos of the past appeared to be fading away. To many observers, Germany looked like a nation reborn, but behind that image, life for ordinary citizens was very different. Living in Nazi Germany was like walking on a tightrope. While pretending to stroll down a broad avenue, the streets looked calm, the system looked stable, yet beneath the surface, fear quietly shaped everyday life. People mannered their words carefully. Conversations stopped when strangers entered the room. Because danger did not always come from what you did. Sometimes, it came from what you said, or from what someone claimed you said. In this world, the greatest threat was uncertainty. You never truly knew who was watching. The midnight knock in the silence of night. There was one sound people fear more than bombs. Not sirens, not explosions, just a simple sound, a knock on the door 3 times. Slow, sharp, unmistakable. This was the sound that made blood freeze in the veins, because it often meant the arrival of the Gestapo. The secret police were both everywhere and nowhere. You rarely saw them openly, but everyone knew they existed, and everyone knew they could appear at any moment. A quiet apartment, a family asleep, a clock ticking slowly on the wall, then suddenly knock, knock, knock. In that instant, the air inside the room seemed to stop moving. Parents looked at each other in silence. Children sensed something was terribly wrong. When the door opened, men in long coats stepped inside, calm, controlled, professional. They did not shout. They asked questions. Questions about neighbors, questions about conversations, questions about a careless remark made weeks ago in a bar. Every answer became a test. Every hesitation created suspicion. Even silence could be interpreted as guilt, because the Gestapo were not simply looking for the truth. They were searching for something more powerful. They were searching for betrayal. When people disappear, name always arrived as if not.
When people desopped PI or mourning, always arrived as if nothing had happened. Sunlight filled the streets, shops opened. Workers walked to their jobs, but sometimes something had changed. The apartment next door was suddenly empty. No voices, no laughter, no footsteps in the hallway, just silence. Furniture remained inside. Curtains hung in the windows, but the people were gone. Families disappeared overnight. Jewish neighbors, political opponents, or sometimes simply someone who had said the wrong thing to the wrong person. A black truck arriving quietly in the dark, a door closing, and then nothing. No explanation, no trial, no return. The empty apartment became a message to everyone else in the building, a warning that did not need words. Stay quiet. Stay obedient, stay invisible, because survival depended on something painful. Looking away, even when you suspected what had happened. Even when you knew. People learned to protect themselves and their families by pretending not to see. This silence became one of the most powerful tools of the regime. It created a society built on suspicion. Neighbors feared neighbors. Friends avoided dangerous conversations. Trust slowly disappeared. And when trust disappears, fear becomes stronger than any weapon. Resistance in the SHADOWS. Yet, even in a society ruled by fear, the human spirit never completely surrendered. Resistance did not always appear dramatic. It rarely looked like open rebellion. Most of the time it existed quietly, in the smallest actions, a whispered conversation in a dark corner, a forbidden newspaper passed secretly between friends, a rumor about events happening outside the country. Even humor became a dangerous form of resistance. People told jokes about food shortages, jokes about leaders. But telling such a joke was like striking a match in a room full of dry curtains. For a brief moment, it brought light. But it could also destroy everything. Arrest, interrogation, disappearance. Still, people continued to take these risks, because even the smallest act of defiance carried meaning, proved that fear had not completely conquered the human spirit. Somewhere beneath the silence, the desire for freedom still lived, hidden, fragile, but alive. The legacy of Faye are today, the streets of modern cities feel very different. The buildings may remain, but the world has changed. Yet the story of life under Nazi rule leaves behind a powerful lesson. Oppression is not built only with prisons and weapons. Sometimes it is built with something far more subtle: fear. When fear becomes part of daily life, people begin to lose more than their safety. They lose trust. Neighbors become potential enemies. Silence becomes a survival strategy. And slowly, society itself begins to fracture. The most dangerous moment is not always when the door is broken down. Sometimes it is when everyone hears the knock, and no one dares to speak. So history asks us to remember something simple. The most terrifying sound in that world was not an explosion. It was a quiet knock on a door in the middle of the night, and that knock reminds us how fragile freedom can truly be.